Most survival gardens are just decorative starvation. You have rows of lettuce and tomatoes, but you're missing the fuel. Vitamins don't stop hunger. Calories do. If the trucks stop moving tomorrow, your healthy garden will see you lose 20 pounds in a month. Today, we fix that. I'm going to tell you something nobody wants to hear. Your garden is probably killing you slowly. You spent hundreds on heirloom tomatoes and fancy kale. You feel accomplished, but you're growing decoration, not survival. Here's the brutal math. You need 2,000 calories per day to maintain body weight during physical labor. Your body doesn't negotiate. It doesn't care about your Instagram posts or your organic certification. Feed it or watch it cannibalize your muscle tissue. 1 pound of lettuce gives you 50 calories. You would need to eat 40 pounds of lettuce every single day to survive. Your digestive system would fail before you starved. 1 pound of tomatoes, 80 calories. You need 25 pounds daily. Can you grow that much? Can you even eat that much before it rots? The average survival gardener grows food that looks impressive but delivers nothing. You harvest 50 pounds of vegetables per season and think you've won. But those 50 pounds contain maybe 4,000 calories total. That's 2 days of food. 2 days from 4 months of work. Our grandparents knew something we forgot. They didn't grow salads, they grew fuel. Dense, storable, calorie-packed crops that could sit in a root cellar for years. They called it the Three Sisters. We're going to go way beyond that today. Number 10. Dent corn. Not the sweet corn you grill in summer. This is field corn, the stuff that built civilizations. 1 pound of dried dent corn contains 1,650 calories. That's almost a full day of food in a single pound. Dent corn gets its name from the dimple that forms on each kernel as it dries. That dimple means it's ready. You grow it through summer, let it dry on the stalk until November, then store it whole or grind it into cornmeal. In a sealed bucket with oxygen absorbers, this corn lasts 30 years. You can grind it into grits, cornmeal, or masa for tortillas. You can crack it for hominy. You can even sprout it for animal feed if you keep livestock. One 100 square foot bed produces about 40 pounds of dried corn. That's 66,000 calories from a space smaller than most living rooms. Number 9. Dry beans. Every prepper has bags of beans in storage, but most never grew them. They should. Beans give you 1,500 calories per pound plus 25% protein. That protein matters when you're not eating meat 3 times a day. Grow pole beans on a trellis and you can harvest 150 pounds from 100 square feet in a good season. Navy beans, black beans, pinto beans. They all work the same way. Let the pods dry completely on the vine. Shell them. Store them in sealed containers. They last decades if kept cool and dry. Your body can't live on corn alone. It's missing lysine, an essential amino acid. Beans have lysine but lack methionine. Corn has methionine. Eat them together and you get a complete protein. This isn't hippie food science. This is biochemistry that kept the Aztecs alive for centuries. Number 8. Winter squash. Specifically butternut, Hubbard, and kabocha varieties. These aren't your watery zucchini. Winter squash has dense, sweet flesh that stores for 6 months without refrigeration. 1 pound gives you 200 calories, which sounds low until you realize one squash weighs 10 pounds. The trick with winter squash is curing. After harvest, you let them sit in a warm, dry place for 2 weeks. This hardens the skin and concentrates the sugars. A properly cured Hubbard squash sitting in your basement at 55 degrees will last until April. No canning, no freezing, no electricity. You can roast it, puree it, dry it into chips. The seeds are edible too, giving you fats and additional protein. One healthy vine produces 30 pounds of squash. That's 6,000 calories from a plant that requires almost zero maintenance once established. Number 7. Sunchokes, also called Jerusalem artichokes. These are the crop nobody talks about because they're too easy. Plant one tuber in spring. By fall, you have 10 pounds of new tubers. They taste like artichoke hearts crossed with potatoes. 1 pound contains 325 calories. Sunchokes are perennial. You harvest what you need and leave the rest in the ground. They survive winters that kill everything else. In spring, they regrow from whatever you missed. They spread aggressively, which is exactly what you want in a collapse scenario. You're not running a botanical garden. You're running a calorie factory. The storage method is simple. Keep them in the ground. Bag them as needed through winter. If you must store them inside, pack them in damp sand in a cool cellar. They'll last 3 months, but honestly, the ground is your best refrigerator. Number 6. Sunflowers. not the ornamental garbage. Grow black oil sunflower or mammoth varieties bred for seed production. One large sunflower head produces a pound of seeds. Those seeds contain 2,600 calories per pound. That's more calorie dense than almost any other crop you can grow. The fat content in sunflower seeds is what makes them special. Your body needs fat to absorb vitamins and maintain hormone production. In a grid-down scenario, fat becomes the hardest macronutrient to obtain. Sunflowers solve that problem. 20 plants give you 20 pounds of seeds. That's 52,000 calories of portable, storable food. You can eat them raw, roast them, or press them for cooking oil if you have the equipment. Store them in their shells in a cool, dry place, and they last 2 years minimum. Shelled seeds and vacuum-sealed bags last even longer. Number 5. Peanuts. Yes, you can grow them in America. George Washington Carver didn't promote them for nothing. Peanuts give you 2,600 calories per pound, same as sunflowers, but with even more protein. One peanut plant produces a quarter pound of nuts. Plant 100 in a 100 square foot bed and harvest 25 pounds. Peanuts need 120 frost-free days and sandy soil. If you're in the South, you have no excuse not to grow these. If you're in the North, choose early varieties and use black plastic mulch to warm the soil. After harvest, cure them by hanging the entire plant in a warm, dry shed for a month. Roasted peanuts stored in sealed jars last a year. Raw peanuts in the shell last 2 years. You can make peanut butter, peanut flour, or press them for oil. The plants also fix nitrogen in your soil, improving it for next year's corn crop. Number 4. Sweet potatoes. This is where we start getting serious. Sweet potatoes deliver 540 calories per pound. One slip planted in May produces 10 pounds of tubers by October. They grow in poor soil. They tolerate drought. They resist pests. The storage capacity of sweet potatoes is legendary. Cure them at 85 degrees and high humidity for a week, then store them at 55 to 60 degrees. Properly cured sweet potatoes last 9 months. You can eat them baked, mashed, or dried into chips. The greens are edible too, giving you vitamins when fresh food is scarce. One 100 square foot bed produces 200 pounds of sweet potatoes in the Deep South. Even in Zone 6, you'll get 100 pounds minimum. That's 54,000 calories from one growing season. And here's the secret. You save a few tubers to sprout slips for next year. You never buy seed again. Number 3. Amaranth. This is the crop the Spanish tried to eradicate because it made the Aztecs too independent. Amaranth grain contains 1,600 calories per pound plus 14% protein. The leaves are edible like spinach. One plant produces a quarter pound of seed. Amaranth grows in heat that kills wheat. It tolerates drought. It produces food in 90 days. You can grow it as a summer crop after your spring peas finish. The seeds are tiny, so you harvest by cutting the seed heads and threshing them over a tarp. Store the seeds in sealed containers and they last 10 years. You can pop them like popcorn, grind them into flour, or cook them as porridge. The nutritional profile rivals quinoa, but amaranth actually grows in American summers without irrigation. Number 2. Sugar beets. Everyone grows carrots. Almost nobody grows sugar beets. This is a catastrophic mistake. One sugar beet weighs 3 pounds and stores 1,000 calories. You can pack 16 beets into a 10 square foot area. Do the math. That's 48,000 calories from the footprint of a small desk. Sugar beets store in a root cellar for 6 months. You can eat them roasted like regular beets. You can boil them down to syrup if you need sweetness for preserving other foods. Or you can ferment them. Your great-grandparents made beet wine during Prohibition for a reason. The real power of sugar beets is psychological. Humans crave sweetness. In a prolonged crisis, morale collapses without it. Sugar beets solve that problem. They give you tradable value too. Your neighbor with chickens doesn't need your kale, but he'll trade eggs for beet syrup every time. Number 1. Parsnips. This is the crop that separates hobbyists from survivors. Parsnips contain 300 calories per pound, which sounds average until you understand their superpower. They improve with freezing. You plant them in spring, ignore them all summer, and leave them in the ground through winter. Number 1. Parsnips. This is the crop that separates hobbyists from survivors. Parsnips contain 300 calories per pound, which sounds average until you understand their superpower. They improve with freezing. You plant them in spring, ignore them all summer, and leave them in the ground through winter. One parsnip weighs a pound. You can grow 40 in a 10 square foot bed. That's 12,000 calories sitting in frozen ground, waiting for you. Roast them, mash them, make soup. The flavor beats carrots by a mile. And if you let a few go to seed in year 2, you'll harvest thousands of seeds for future plantings. Now, let me show you how to combine these 10 crops into a 500 square foot survival block. This isn't a garden, this is a calorie production system designed to keep 2 adults alive for a year. You dedicate 100 square feet to dent corn, another 100 to dry beans growing on trellises, 50 square feet to winter squash sprawling on the edges. You interplant sunchokes along the north border where they won't shade other crops. You grow sunflowers as a living trellis for your beans. You dedicate 75 square feet to sweet potatoes, 50 square feet to amaranth, 50 to sugar beets. You grow peanuts in the sunniest, sandiest corner. You plant parsnips in any remaining space. This 500 square foot block produces approximately 800,000 calories per year if managed correctly. That's enough to sustain one person completely or supplement 2 people who are also hunting, fishing, or raising small livestock. You rotate crops annually to prevent soil depletion. The beans fix nitrogen for next year's corn. The beauty of this system is redundancy. If beetles destroy your beans, you still have 9 other calorie sources. If drought stunts your corn, the sunchokes don't care. You're not dependent on a single crop like industrial farmers. You're diversified like your great-grandparents who survived the Depression. You harvest in stages from August through November. You cure and store everything using methods that predate refrigeration. By December, you have shelves of dry goods and a root cellar of living storage. You have food security that no grocery store can offer. During World War II, Americans planted 20 million victory gardens. These gardens produced 40% of the nation's vegetables. People did this while working factory jobs and raising children. They did it because they understood that independence starts with food. You have that same choice today. You can keep growing decorative crops that make you feel productive while leaving you vulnerable. Or you can grow food that actually sustains life. Food that stores. Food that carries you through winter and beyond. This isn't about paranoia. This is about competence. Your grandfather knew how to grow food that mattered. That knowledge didn't disappear. It's waiting for you to reclaim it. Start with 1 crop this spring. Plant dent corn or dry beans. Learn the rhythm of real food production. Next year, add 2 more crops. In 3 years, you'll have a complete system. You'll have skills that most Americans lost 2 generations ago. You'll have security that money can't buy. And when your neighbors ask how you did it, you'll teach them. That's how resilient communities are built. The trucks will keep running, probably. But your ability to feed yourself isn't about probability. It's about capability. These 10 crops give you that capability. Everything else is just decoration. Now go plant something that matters.